race and racism that we continue to have to this day. And the book came out of the workshops that we did, coming out of the conversation, doing workshops on race and racism. And as the more we worked together, the more we saw issues of race coming up in our relationship, but also in how the rest of the world reacted to us. And so the book has taken our conversations between ourselves, but also it also includes experiences in the outside world. One example that I use to help people is, for instance, when we were working together, when we started working together, I was still living in South Africa, and Rose came to South Africa on a number of occasions around the women's retreats. And we would go out for a meal, and without fail, the waiters would talk to her as though she was the natural host of this dinner. And without fail, they would give her the bill. Well, that part I liked, that I could get away without paying. But that, that was a recognition for us that, people are responding that when you see a black woman and a white woman, the white woman is the person in power. And in the reality, I was the host. She was visiting my country. And so we've included those kinds of experiences and our reactions to those experiences in the book.
And if you were to, what suggestions would you have for us if we want to start such a conversation?
Well, I think that one of the things that was important for us in being able to start the conversation was that we had reached a certain level of trust with one another, that I would challenge her on a statement like that. I think that what often happens, and I know that had happened in my previous experience, was that when somebody said something like that to me, I would probably just walk away from them, and then the conversation would never happen. And so I think that it tends to be hard for individuals to have that conversation one-on-one, and which is why we do the book, is that what we found is that if we can find places where we can make safe spaces for people to have those conversations. So whether it be in a classroom setting, or where in dormitories where people live, or through faith communities, churches, synagogues, mosques, where we invite people from different backgrounds to be involved in these conversations. Because, the conversations about race and racism are dangerous conversations. There are many places where we can hurt one another or insult one another. And I believe there needs to be an acknowledgement of that danger in those conversations, and an acknowledgement that we are going to reach places where a word that I might say might insult or hurt you, and we have to be willing to say, stop, that's an insult, and let me tell you why I say that. And so therefore we need the safe space.
Okay, thank you. You're working with an organization called Peace Jam, and you mentioned that in your discussion. You describe the goals of this organization and what you do and who you bring together.
Peace Jam was founded by a young couple in Colorado who were working with gangs, with young men in gangs, and they were surprised to find out that these young men looked up to people like my father and Nelson Mandela and the Dalai Lama, and he had even heard of them, and that were impressed with their role as peacemakers. And so they came up with the idea of an organization that would bring Nobel Peace Prize winners and young people together. And so Peace Jam brings together high school and college students with Nobel laureates at conferences and discussions, and encourages young people to do projects that build peace in their community, whether it be working with the homeless, working around supporting mentoring programs in domestic violence shelters, but that it helps them see that the work that we see from Nobel laureates, that is international, started at a local level, and that as young people they can make an impact on the world wherever they are. And the reward, if you like, is then having the opportunity to spend time and be in conversation with Nobel Peace Prize winners in these conferences that happen across the country and around the world.
And you mentioned in your lecture as well, talking about gifts and sharing your gift with the world. And one of the things is if we're not certain what our gift is, and it's just kind of a final question wrap up, how would you suggest that we go about finding that gift and then sharing it with the world?
Well, as I said in the presentation, you know, actually our gift is the thing that gives us the most joy. That the thing that when you are involved in doing it, it doesn't even take energy. It actually gives you energy to be doing it. And I've spoken to people who are wonderful singers, and they say that when they sing, they feel filled. And so our gift is that thing that gives us joy. And then our challenge is simply, how do we use it to make the world a better place? And as I said, we look around where we are and see what it is that we can do with our gift to improve the place we live.
Any final comments that you would have for us, and something that we could, you know, take away that you think would help us make the world a better place?
I think the starting place is to recognize that we all have that gift, that each of us has something that the world desperately needs, and it needs from us. And I always remind young people that you might not think you have a gift, but listen to your heart and your head, and you will discover that there is a gift there that the world is waiting for.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Tutu. We definitely appreciate you being here, and we will be back in just a moment to wrap up Direction Northeast.
I don't train like you.
I don't have the same skin as you.
I don't wear my hair like you.
I don't dance like you.
I don't come from the same place as you.
But I will give you CPR.
When you help the American Red Cross, you help America.
That concludes the program for today. We have talked about the nature of human oppression and the role that racial and gender discrimination play when people are denied freedom. Thanks again to our guest for the program, Ms. Naomi Tutu. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Community is very important to the students at Northeast State Community College, and this program takes a look at a few of the subjects they find important. We encourage you to get out and explore the natural beauty of our region and be aware of all the issues concerning your community. Until we meet next time, on behalf of the students, staff, and faculty of Northeast State Community College, I'm Dr. Rick Merritt, and this is Direction Northeast.